Hi everyone, welcome back to this another course on Django. So in this course, it's going to be a crash course for absolute beginners. We are going to create a to-do list that you're seeing here where we can add to do, we can delete to do, and also we can update our to-dos. Now we are going to be doing this using Django. Django is a Python web framework for building web applications. Okay, so this course teaches you the basics of Django. Okay, it's a crash course that will teach you everything about CRUD operation. CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. In every website you see, out of 100, 90% of website you see follows this CRUD method. You can create, delete, update, and also you can update your information or data on the internet. So I know it's not looking too well, so user can come here and add it to do. I will say teach Django and click on the add button. As you can see, it's automatically created. I can go ahead and update this one and edit template. I can go ahead and edit this and I click on update. As you can see, editing of template. Let me edit template. Okay, as you can see, we have editing template and we have teach Django. So I can go ahead and delete this editing template. As you can see, only the teach Django is remaining. I can as well go and say practice Django. I can click on enter. As you can see, practice Django, teach Django, practice Django. All right, I can put one more, edit templates. Edit template. I click on enter. As you can see, we have teach Django, practice Django, and edit Django. So this is what we are going to create in this particular course. So why not sit tight and enjoy the course? Thank you and see you in the other side of the. Okay, let's begin this tutorial. So the first thing you need to do, I've created my folder. I name it to do, since we are going to build a to-do list. Okay, so and I open my VS Code. You can feel free to use any other code editor like PyCharm, Atom, and Sublime, but I prefer to use VS Code. Alright, so after creating your folder, you open it in your VS Code. You can go here and go to File, go to Open Folder, click on New Folder, and you type the name and you OK and select. So this is how you can select, you can create your folder. So having done that, you go to your terminal, you go on new terminal. I'm going to use a default terminal for VS Code, but you can also use your CMD. So I'm going to check if I'm in the right directory where my Python is installed. I'll type Python version and click on enter. As you can see, at the time of recording this course, I'm using Python 3.18.2, which I believe is the latest version of Python. Alright, so I'm going to get to clear it. So I'm now going to create my visual environment. So visual environment is like your hard disk, a separate storage device where a visual storage device different from your local machine. So whatever we are going to do now, whatever packages we are going to install right now is not going to be in our local machine. All right, so I'll show you that in a jiffy. So to create a visual environment using Windows, you say Python dash space dash M VENV, which stands for visual environment. You give your visual environment name. For me, I prefer using ENV, and you click on enter. As you can see from the left hand side, you see that ENV folder has been created already and it's still loading. All right, so if I click to open it, you have include. Inside include, nothing is there. We have lib, we have scripts, and nothing is there for now, so it's still loading. Once it is done, we are going to activate it and you're going to see all the dependencies that we need to work with. Okay, it has finished the creation. All right, so the next thing we need to do, if you come to this ENV, you go to script, you see activate. So we want to activate this visual environment. So to activate visual environment, you call your visual environment name. Mine is env/scripts, and the S is a capital letter. You spell scripts and you / and you activate it. So you click on enter. For Windows, this is how you can activate your visual environment. So we have successfully created our visual environment and are also activated. If you look down here now, we are no longer having, we are referencing our visual environment. So whatever package we are going to install now is going to be in this visual environment. It's not going to be in our local machines. Let me show you an example. If I say pip freeze, as you can see, there's nothing here for now. So let's go ahead and install Django. It's a pip install Django. That's all the command we need to execute. So let's wait as our Django project is being installed into our visual environment. So we are going to wait for a bit for it to finish the installation. As you can see, our Django project was successfully installed. All right, so and visual environment, our VS Code is asking us to upgrade our pip, which I'm not going to do that in this video. All right, so we have successfully installed our Django package into our visual environment. Okay, so let's go ahead and check if we have visual environment installed here. What I'll do now, I'll say pip freeze. All right, so as you can see, we the first time we did this pip freeze, we did not see anything, but now we have ASGIRF 3 version 3.11.0. we have Django 5.2.8. This is the latest version of Django as of 2025. Now we also have SQL Spares 0.5.3 and the rest. So this is all the packages we have in our visual environment rather. So for us to begin, the next thing we need to do, we need to begin our Django project. We are going to say Django admin start project, and you give it a name. For this, I'm going to give it a to-do. You space and you do period. All right, you click on enter. As you can see now, to-do project has been created. This is going to be our root folder, root project, okay, which we are going to link to our app. Now there's what we call app in Django. Okay, app is like a component, different components of your website. For example, if you are building a robust project, you need to have different sections. Like e-commerce, you need a account section, you need a product section, you need different sections like that. So if you are familiar with React, we call it components. So like different sections, each section of your app project, based on the capacity or based on the project, you can have different apps. So but for this project, we're going to build just one app, okay, which is going to be our to-do. But before we dive into to-do, let me give us a brief overview of Django, what Django is. Django is a Python web framework used for building web applications, okay, and basically it is a back-end web framework, okay, and it has user authentication, it has inbuilt user authentication, it has inbuilt database SQLite, and it has so many features. We have the admin interface, which we are going to see in this project, okay. So before we also begin to create our app, let me walk you through what we have in these folders. The first one, you see that we have __init_.py is telling this project that it should treat this project as a Python package, okay. Here you are not going to do anything in this file, all right. So the next one we have is asgi.py. Is basically for configuration for this for deployment on web. So we are not going to do anything in this file. The next one we have is settings.py. This is where we are going to do a whole lot of configuration, but don't be scared. It's something you can do. It's just 2 or 3 settings we are not going to do in this very particular settings. Okay, and we have urls.py. Urls is where we are going to direct our users to. If you are building a website that have home, about us, services, contact us, so each of those pages are going to have their own URL, unique locator, which if user click on this, you take the user to that particular URL. So we are going to work more with this as well. We also have wsgi.py. Is like I said, this init.py, asgi.py, and wsgi.py. We are not going to touch any of this file. Even this manage.py, we are not going to touch anything. We are going to leave it the way it is, except to a pro. But for us beginners, we are going to leave it as it is. We are not going to do anything except for deployment purposes. We are going to configure this asgi and this wsgi.py. Okay, so that is all about what this file stand for. We are going to work mostly with settings.py, urls. We are going to have this manage.py, and the structure for Django is Django takes a MVT process. Okay, let me create one file here and call it text.txt. Okay, so I say Django structure. Django follows an MVT, which M stands for model. M stands for model. This model defines our database files. All right. So now the V stands for views. Views here is where we perform our logical operations. Okay, which everything we do, our logic is going to be based on our views. And the template here this T stands for template. Okay, which stands for our user interface. Okay, this is where users can view all what we want them to see, while backend is controlled by these views.py, which we are going to see in a very short while. Okay, so these are what we call Django structure or architecture. All right, Django structure or architecture. All right, so this is all about MVT, model views template. Okay, and also we have URL, which defines where our users to go, or level that directs where our users to go. And we also have another we have URLs. Yes, I've talked about that. URL, MVT, URL, and the rest. Okay, so for now we are going to end here for this. So just know that MVT stands for model view template. Okay, so the first thing we need to do now, since we have created our, I'm going to delete this, I don't need this MVT, this txt. All right, so we are going to create our app now. To create our app, we are going to say Django, not Django, sorry, I say Python manage.py start app, and we're going to call it to do app. You go ahead and click on OK. As you can see, we have created our app. If you look at this, our base project, look at what we have. We have init.py, asg, setting, url, wsgi. But if we come to our to do app, we have same init.py, we have admin.py, apps.py, models.py, test.py, and we have views. Remember, like I said, that the Django package or Django project carries MVT structure, which stands for model, view, and template. So we have models, we have view here. we're going to see how to link our template very soon. So having created our app right now, we are going to start this project. To start Django project, we'll say Python manage.py. This package you're seeing, this manage.py, for everything we do, we need to call it before we can create or we can do anything in Django project. Manage.py run server. All right, it's going to run server. Now, as you can see, we are running this server on port 8000. If you are working with keyboard, click on Control, hold Control, and click on this link. It's going to take us to our Chrome or any of your browser extension you are using. Let's just give it some time for it to open our Django project in our Chrome extension, which I'm using currently. Alright, so as you can see, the install worked successfully. Congratulations. So if you follow to this point, I want to say very big congratulations for creating your first Django project. Alright, let's go back to our app. So now there is something you need to look at. If we go up, you see that Django is telling us that you have 18 unapplied migrations. Your project may not work properly until you apply the migrations for apps, admin, auth, content types, and the station. So what we need to do now, for us to avoid this error, I'm going to stop this server, Control C. I'm going to say Python manage.py migrate. Okay, as you can see, it apply all migrations and everything is okay. All right, so this migration, as you can see, we have a default database SQLite 3. Like I said, that Django provide us with a default database. So everything we are going to work now is going to link to this, going to be stored to this database SQLite 3. But you can also use your custom database like Postgres, MySQL, and the rest. But for now, for this demo, we are going to work with this default database SQLite 3. All right. So let's go ahead and run this project again to see if that error is still there. As you can see, we don't have that error anymore, so we have migrated. So what we talked about migration, that they are default tables, so we migrated the default tables to this database. Now let's go back and refresh. Everything is still working very well. So I'm going to open a new terminal here. I'm going to use this one for production to write our code, while this one to run our server. Okay, so then this other one is going to be for creating our product. All right, so the next thing now we need to do is we are going to link this our app to this our root project, which is to do. I'm going now, you need to go to your root project to do, and you open your settings.py. Now in settings.py, where you have this installed apps, you are going to go down there and register. If you don't register this your to do app, Django will not recognize this app. It will give you an error. So I'm going to register this my app. I'm going to say to do app. That is all you need to do. So our app is now registered with Django. You still need to go down where we have this template. Though we have not yet created our template, you come here where you have a DIRS. This DIRS, you're going to come inside here and you say capital letter base underscore dir rather slash. You open your quote and you write template in small letter rather, not in cap lock. Template. So we have linked our template, which we are going to create in a short while right now. Okay, and the next setting you need to do, you go down to where you have the static files. Okay, you are going to link our static files. Static file stands for, like, you want to do styling, you want to use CSS to style, and maybe you want to use JavaScript. So you are going to link so that Django will accept these packages or these files. So for us to link it, we say static files underscore dirs equals to, you're going to be a list, and you're going to say base underscore dir slash, and you're going to say static in small letter. That's all we need to do for this project. Okay, now you don't need to memorize anything. Trust me, when you are starting, it's going to be like you are not going to learn anything. It's going to be frustrating. So Django help us with a documentation. You can go to Google and type Django documentation, and you can start follow along. Make Google your friend. So anything you don't understand, ask Google. Google is there to help us. Trust me, every developer still use Google and ChatGPT. And in this course, I'm going to show us how to harness the power of ChatGPT to facilitate our project. Okay, so that will be for front end though. Now we are done with the settings of Pi. What we did in this settings of Pi, we first of all registered our app, which is to do app here in installed apps. If you don't register your app here, Django will not recognize your app. Now the next thing we did was to go to templates, where we have this dirs. We have to link our template, which we are going to create. Template stand for HTML files, because we are going to work with HTML files. Now the last thing we did was going down here where we have static URL, static file. We added static files underscore dirs equals to base dir slash static to register our static folders. We are done with this. Now we are going down to our to-do app. You right click and you come and create a new file. We're going to call it urls.py. That's all we need to do. Now you close your app, you go to do project, you open these URLs. Okay, you are going to register this your URL to do app URLs into these main project URLs. You are going to say path is going to be an empty space, comma, you say includes, and you're going to call the name of your app. You say to do app.urls. Now as you can see, it's giving us an error because we need to import this include. Come down to where we have this path, you say comma, and you import this include. You say from Django.urls import path and include. So that's all we need to do. I'm going to copy this part here and close this to do, and I paste it in our app URLs. I'm going to remove this include. I'm also going to remove everything here. All right, so we are done with that. Now for us, now the next thing we need to do is to create our template. Remember, we registered our template in our app folders, okay, in our settings of Pi app folder. Now you come here and say you create a folder, you call it templates. Please, I want you to mind your typo, and also it should be template plural. So we have created our template. All right, now the next thing we need to do now, we are also going to create our, no, this should not be in to do. I'm going to move it here. It's going to be on its own. I'm going to paste it here. All right, so it's going to be on its own, right? So the next we need to do, we need to create our static folder. You come here and say folder, and you create static. Now inside this static, I need to create another folder. I'll call it CSS. Now you come to this CSS and you create a file. We call it style.css. That's all we need to do, where we are going to be writing our default, going to be writing our CSS code. Okay, now the next thing we need to do now is to go ahead and create our HTML, our template. Okay, so what I need to do now is I'll go to inside my HTML. I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it a base.html. okay, I'm going to hold shift and this F1, not F1, where we have a 1 to 0, where we have that exclamatory mark. You click on shift, so we now have a default we now have a default call it HTML boilerplate. Okay, so this will help us to create our HTML form. So I'm going to come to title. I'm going to say, I'm going to give it the name of Django tutorial. All right, so inside the body here, I'm going to have an H1. I'm going to say welcome to Django. All right, to Django. Now we need to link this our we need to go back to, okay, we are not going to do that here. We're not going to do that. So what we need to do here is that it's just going to be a base. Instead of having this boilerplate in all our HTML files, folders rather, we are going to link to extend this base.html to all our template. Okay, just don't worry, don't be confused, just follow it step by step, practicalize it. Once you do the first attempt, second attempt, you're going to understand all the processes. Okay, don't feel frustrated, don't feel it's difficult, it's not difficult, or just understand the steps and the basics of Django, you'll get it right. Okay, so instead of in every of our, for example, I want to create HTML, I want to create home.html. And instead of me coming to do this boilerplate again, all I need to do, I need to come here, and this is what we call Django tag. These curly braces. You know, we have, if you want to write, curly braces help us to write Python code in our HTML. And we have another one is called the double one. This double one is, we are referencing Django Python code inside of HTML. So you're going to do double, let me change this to HTML. You're going to do double percent, okay, and say extends space. Inside this quote, you say base.html. That's all we need to do. And you're going to come here and say, you do curly braces and double percentage, and you call it a block content. Whatever thing you start, you have to end it. Okay, we are going to come here as well and say end block. Okay, that's all we need to do. You come to your base.html as well, you are going to say block content, and you're going to also come here and you're going to end the block content, end block. All right, so now we want to link our, I know in our settings.py inside our to-do project, we were able to link our static files. Okay, but it's not going to work right now until we are able to link this our file. We are able to link these static folders into this our HTML file. So you go to your base.html. Before the title, you have title, we are going to have what we call a link. You're going to link it. Now you are going to, instead of just normal saying css /style.css, it's not going to work. It's not like normal HTML, okay, and CSS project. This is a framework, so Django has its own rule. All right, so you come up one level up and you create this, and you say load static, and you're going to come here. Let's cut this off. Let's cut this CSS / let's cut it off. You're going to say curly braces, double percent. You're going to say static space, and you will now paste your file path. That's all we need to do. So we are done with this base.html. We don't need it again. So going forward, we are going to be working with this our home.html. So let's test what we have done, if it's working. I'll give it h1. I'm going to say welcome to home page. All right, so remember, one of our, this one here is running, our server is still running, okay, on port 8000. This one we are using it to to create and to give commands. Let's go back to our web page and refresh. Okay, our code broke. We are going to go back here. Control C. We are going to say Python manage.py run server. Let's click on enter. Okay, it's running. Oh, we don't need this. Let's go back and refresh. Why is our template not working? Okay, sorry, we did not create a URL path. As you can see, we are trying to refresh, but it's not working because we did not link, we do not direct user to this, we do not direct Django project to this home.html. So to do that, you come to your URL and you say path. We are going to be an empty string. Why we are choosing empty string? So that if users come here, we don't need to do slash before we get to our home page. All right, we now say comma, we say views dot home, that is the name, and you give it a name, attributes as well as home. Now it's giving us an error. We need to import view. So you say from the current directory import views, all the views. All right, now our code should work. This thing is loading. Let's see if it's still working. Okay, our code broke, so we need to stop it and load it back. Manage.py run server path views.home name path views.home. What is the error here? pp attribute model to do app pp views has no attribute home. Views.home has no attribute home. What is it? What did we do that is not correct? We do comma views.home. All right, comma, and we'll give it a name of home. It's giving us an error that pp views has no attribute home. Let's go to our to-do URLs path, include to-do app URLs. Okay, what is happening? It's giving us an error. To-do app dot views has no attribute home. But we have home.html. We imported views. Let's refresh. Okay, sorry. Okay, it has no attribute view. Right, so what is telling us we are done with this with our URL. So the next thing we need to do now, we need to open our views. Remember, Django takes MVT model, MVT structure. So we need to come here and say diff, that is define home. It takes one parameter, which is request. You know, it's a function based. You're going to return render. It already imported it for us, render, and it's going to take two parameters, one request, and you say comma, then you now go to, you say home.html. That's all we need to do. As you can see, everything is working fine. If I refresh now, I should have welcome to home page. So as you can see, we now have welcome to home page. Now let's also test if this our CSS is working. All right, if CSS is working. We need to come to CSS file, and remember, before you take this course, you must have basic Python knowledge, HTML and CSS or bootstrapped. Okay, let's target margin of 0, padding of 0, box sizing, border box. Okay, now let's target the body to give it a color. Let's target the body and give it a background of light blue, just to test if our code is working. I refresh. It's not working. Why is it not working? Okay, so it's working. You need to give it some time for it to load. As you can see, our static file is working. Everything is working very well. All right, so having done that, let's now dive into the main concept of this course, which is going to be a to-do. We are going to build a to-do app. So the first thing you need to understand is that before you even start your project, you need to ask yourself, what exactly am I going to build? Okay, and you lay down your structure. As a to-do app, you want to build a to-do app, you need to have a model. A model is what defines what we are going to store in the database. Now, having gotten your model, you need to have views to render your project. Okay, views is the logic behind your project. Okay, the website, the logic behind it. What if you click on home, the logic to take it to home is URL, and if you click on a button, what it does also views. The logic behind every concept in your website is all about what the view. So for us to build this to-do app, we need to have a model. We are going out to our app and we're going to have a model. You click on model. Now the reason why we created our app, because when you create your app, it automatically imports all these things. What you're supposed to have imported, it imports for you. So we need a model, and model takes a class base. Okay, it's going to be a class. You're going to say class, you give it a name, you're going to call it a text. Now you're going to say models, which is a function to create a model, dot capital letter M for model, another model. All right, it's going to be a class base. Now we want to give it parameters. Okay, we're going to call this title or name equals to models dot, we have char field, slug field, text field, but we need a char field. No, we don't need a char field, we need a text field. We need a text field. Okay, now so that users can type what they want. Okay, this is all we need in this our model. All right, so you now come down and say div. Okay, let's leave it at, let's go ahead and check this. Now you need to come to your terminal and say python manage.py make migrations. Now anytime you create a model or you change anything in your model, you need to come and say python manage.py make migrations. So make migrations is saying migrate, add this data field to our database, or delete this, or if you deleted a column from your database model class, you come back and say python manage.py make migration, so that the newest database structure can be implemented in your Django project. So you're going to say python manage.py make migrations. I'm going to enter. As you can see, it make migration. If you come to our app folder, if you come to this our app folder, you see make migrations. As you can see, we have 001 underscore initial.py, which is, if you look at here, let me open so I can see. You can see we have here create, you see to do app migration 0001 underscore initial.py. Now having done that, you now say python manage.py migrate to store this class. As you can see, it's saying applying and okay. Now what we did was that the migrate means store this class, this tax into our database. If I go and open this migrations, I go ahead and open this 001, you can see that this is what it has done for us. Migrations.create model is going to create a table for you in your database. Name, tax, you go field. Or now what I love Django is that it automatically gives you the ID. The ID becomes big auto field. Okay, it's auto populated for you, auto created true, primary key true. So the primary key is auto populated. So this is what we are going to find in our database. Now there's something I forgot to tell you, that for us to communicate with database, we use what we call ORM. ORM stands for Object Relational Mapper. Now, instead of using your hard coding SQL syntax to create table, what we use Python by the help of ORM, Object Relational Mapper. So once we create that, Django is going to translate it to Postgres, SQL syntax automatically. So we don't need to know anything about database or SQL syntax. All you need to understand is Python ORM, and it's going to work very fine for you. So we have created our database. Now the next thing you need to do is we need to create our super user. Now I earlier said that in Django gives us admin interface where we can, as an admin, you can create, update, delete, and edit. It gives us a database or admin interface panel. So for us to have access to that, we're going to say Python manage.py create super user. I'm going to click on OK. Okay, no such file. I did a mistake in Python. All right. So I'm going to close this. Okay. Python manage.py create super user. It's going to ask for username. I'm going to give it as George. You enter. It's asking for your email. You can give it email, but I'm going to give a random mail. It's going to ask for your password. Note, as you are typing, you are not going to see anything, so don't feel you are not typing. So Django will not display anything in this or your password. You enter, you say confirm. Now Django is going to throw an error if you do not use a better email, a better password. Say the password is too similar to the username. This password is too short, so it's going to give you an option to bypass this by clicking yes or no. I want to bypass. I say yes, and it's going to bypass and create my password for me. Let's go back to our, you say come here and say /admin, and you enter. It's going to ask for a username that you created, so I'll put my username, and it's going to ask for your password that you created, and you click on enter on login. Now this is the admin interface, Django administration, where you can create. Now remember, we created a model with this with tax, but in our database from the back end we are not seeing anything. Even I refresh, we are not seeing. What could be the problem? Now the challenge is that you need to come back to your to-do app. You come to this admin panel. Okay, you're going to say admin.site to register. You need to register this your tax, and you're going to click here and import it. All right, so you import, no, not this, not like this. You're going to say from the current directory models import tax. All right, so you import this tax here, this class to this admin. So this is all. You say admin.site.register this class, this model tax. Let's go back and refresh. As you can see, nothing is saying. Let's refresh. Okay, we should have it. The code broke, so we need to come back here and restart Python manage.py run server. Okay, server is running. You refresh. As you can see, we now have this to do app. This is our app, to do app, and this is tags. You can now add new tags. You can add the name. Okay, I gave it as okay. Let's change it to char field, char, and we do max length of 100. So as you can see, I have made an adjustment. So I need to go back to my terminal and say python manage.py make migrations, because I have made changes in my database. Okay, now I'm going to say python manage.py migrate to save these migrations, which it has been done successfully. If I come down here and refresh, you now see that it's no longer a text field, it's now a char field, which char field stands for character field. Okay, now as you can see, everything is working as planned. Okay, right. So as you can see, we now have, now if I go ahead and create a tax, I'm going to say teach Django. I save it to add another one, publish video. I save. Now as you can see, we're now having this tax object 1. The first one takes object 1, the second one takes object 2. If I create another tax, it's going to give us another tax object 3. But I don't want it to give us this way. I want to see the name of this project. Okay, for us to do that, we come down to this our class. You say define underscore str underscore inside this parameter. You say self. It's going to be a function, and you return self dot name, and I'm going to save it. We are done with model. If I come down here and refresh, you can see now it's not giving us object 1, object 2. Now it's giving us the name of the tax, which is one, teach Django, and publish video. All right, so you can go ahead and delete this from here. This is an admin panel, which you can create, you can delete, and also edit. All right, so we are done with this. So we are going to come back to our home. You can see we have our app here, and we have our class of tags. If I open this tags, you can see we have 2 tags, one to teach Django, and the other one is to publish video. So this is how you can access your admin dashboard. Let's go back to our home page. So we are done with this. All right, so we are progressing. All right, don't be confused, just follow along, take notes, and also try to implement what you have learned. Okay, trust me, Django is very interesting and it's very sweet framework to work with. Okay, and from the beginning it's going to be very hectic. You know, look as if you are not going to understand, but trust me, with determination, with practice, okay, as you probably 1 hour a day implementing what you have learned, trust me, within days you're going to be very good with Django. All right, so let's forge ahead. Now we need to come to our home.html. We're going to create what we need. We need a text and input field and a button to add. Okay, so I need a form. Okay, inside this form I will need a label. This label is going to be for name, and which is going to be text. I'm going to have an input text, and the name is going to be name as well. The ID is going to be name as well. All right, so, and I'm going to need a button. The type here is going to be submit. I don't need this, but I need the value equals to add text. Okay, let's refresh and see what we have here. Okay, as you can see, we have tags. You can enter your tags, you can add tags. Okay, now for us to see these tags, let me comment something here. Now here, display text. We need an li, okay? We need an li, all right, to display our text. Inside this li, we need an anchor text, anchor tag. No. Inside this, we want to display something, all right? Just say something. Let's see how it is looking. Okay, something, as you can see, something. Now, but we want to create something that we're going to display something here. Maybe I should wrap this up in our on ordered list, and I do something like this and refresh. Okay, so same thing. All right. So we need to come to view. Remember, we have created something already in our database. So for us to view this, we say text equals to text with capital letter, okay, dot object dot all. Now we need to import this text. You click here, add from to do app. As you can see now, we have from to do app.models import text. Now we're going to pass what we call a context. You come and say context equals to, it's going to be a curly braces, and you pass in your tax, which is a key pair value. That is the key and the value of tax as well. Now you come down here where you have your home.html, you say comma, and you pass in your context here. All right. So if you come back to your and refresh, nothing is working. Now in this course, I'm teaching you CRUD operation, CRUD. CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. We are going to read first because we have already added tags in our database. So we want to read. So to read a tag is that you're going to give the variable name. We have given it as a tag. I prefer you maintain consistency. Whatever you define here in all your project that is pertaining to do, you should maintain this same variable. All right. Now this tag is a class of our model. Okay. This is a database. So our database name is tags, and the fields like the table is one. We have just one table, which is name. So you are going to reference these tags here in your view. Like I said, view is the logic behind what happens to our website. Okay. Now models, you have created your database, the database and the columns, the fields. Now in URL, you created that if somebody opened the website, it should click on home, it should take this person to so place. Then view is the logic behind once you click on a button, once you click on a cell or a table, what happened next? That is the logic, but that is the view. Now we are saying giving the variable as a tax. Now I want to say tax, this is our database dot object, it is ORM. You can, if I will do a course for Python ORM, object relational mapper. Now you say tax, which is this class, this database dot object dot all. I want to see all. Now why we need to reference this here in our HTML is that I want to display it inside of this our li tag. Okay, that's why we had to say we have to give a context and refer and bring it here. You can as well do it this other way. If you don't want to go to do a context, you can just pass in a dictionary here. You can pass a dictionary here as well. You can say, and you do a key, you say text, and you do the value as well as text. The two are the same. Okay, this one and what we did here is the same, but I'm going to stick to the former one, which gives us a more which is more readable. Now if I come and refresh, nothing appears here. So we need to reference, we need to pass in this object in our HTML, and to do that we need to use a tag. This is where I say you need to understand what tag is. Now, single curly braces is used to render, to create, to do Python code, to write Python codes, okay, with double percentage. Inside of this double percentage, you are say for, I want to say for t in text. I'm referencing this variable now, text. I say for t in this text, which contain this our class of text, which is our database and object of all. I'm referencing it there. Then anything you start, like I say, when you start this opening, there must be an n. Okay, I'm going to also come here and say n4. All right, n4. If I refresh, nothing still happens. It's still, rather, it's giving us an error. We need to pass in what we want here. Now, this is what we need to do now. Single curly braces is to write Python codes, whereas double curly braces, we call it Django tag, is to reference whatever we have in our view into our HTML form. I'm going to say tags.name. All right, so I'm going to say tags.name. Now it's going to, if I come back to our code, okay, I need to restart this. Let me python manage.py run server. All right, so if I come back here and refresh, it's giving us an error for t in tags n4. Why? It's saying for statement should have at least 4 words. For t tags should have at least 4 words. What does that mean? Django template exception should have at least 4 words. 1 2 3 1 2 for t. Okay, sorry, for t in tags, rather, sorry, for t in. Now, as you can see, it renders this, what we have, teach Django and publish video. If I go back to our admin panel, you're going to see our tags. We have teach Django being the first and publish video. So if I come back to my home page, you're going to see what we have here as teach Django and publish video. So now we are done with the first part of this video, which is to read our data, all right. So we are able to go to the back end, added data, and we were able to also render it to the front end. I need to put this for delete and update. Let's see how it's going to look. All right, so we are going to go back by CRUD operation to delete, update. All right, so the next one we need to do now, we need to create a view to add. Okay, so to add, we'll also need a template. So we are going to come down here after this form. We are going to say, let me give it form to add to do. All right, sorry, here yes, I needed a form rather. Okay, I have a form rather, sorry, I have a form. It's just to create a view. Okay, so what we want to work now is, if I enter it and add from front end, it should appear here instead of going to our back end. So let's go ahead and create that view. So to create that view, any view you create, you must have a URL. So to create that view, you come here and say in our URL path, what we want to do is want to add underscore text slash, okay, comma. Now you say views dot, give it a name, add tags. Okay, add tags, comma, you give it a name. I will show you why we need this name variable. You give it as text. Okay, don't forget to put your comma here. So we say path, we want to add it. Once we go to that add tags, it's going to, this is what is going to appear as a get report. It's going to appear here. Okay, instead of this 8 tags, it's going to be slash going to be slash at, as we have slash admin. So that's what we are about to do now. All right, so that is where we are asking you to send it to. Now this is the view is going to be at tax, and the name we are going to reference this very particular URL is name is tax. So let's copy this and go to our view and create the function for that. We create a function. It's going to take one parameter, which is what request. Okay, and we are going to return it to render, which is our HTML template, and it takes two parameters, request, comma, and you're still going to bring it back to this our home.html. okay, but if you have a separate HTML file for this ad, you can reference that very particular HTML, but for now everything is going to be targeted, is going to be returned back to home. All right, so for us to add, we're going to say if request dot methods is equals to capital letter of post, and you do this. Now let me explain. You are going to say no, if you are sending data to database, it is a post request, you are posting. Now but if you are retrieving from, like what we did here we retrieved from, it's a get report, it's a get request. But if I'm sending into database, it's going to be a post. But if I'm getting from the database, it's going to be what? A get report. So you said for request the method, if is equals to post, we are going to say text equals to request dot, what is the name of what we gave here? The name for this input is what? Is name. We copy this and come here and say request dot post dot get, and you paste in what you have. If you have multiple input, you are going to do it like this and put in their name, but just because we have just one as beginners, just one request, just one input, so we are going to pass just one. Now having done this, you now say tax equals to, you now call our database, our class, our tax class, okay, and you now say tax equals to tax. Now having done that, you now say tax, you now have to save it. If you don't save it, it's not going to save. Okay, you now say render return redirect. Okay, redirect us back to where? To home. And it's asking us to import this. One thing I love about Django, once you click on this arrow, you have a small lamp. You click, it's going to say add from Django.shortcut import render redirect. When you come here, it imported this redirect. So this is how you can add. You say if request the method is equals to post, because we want to send tax request the post the get this variable, this name, this input name. That's why you can name it so that Django can know the input field to target. Now if you target that, you now say tax equals to tax, which is our database. You say it should create this tax equals to tax. Now you save it, you return and redirect it to home. If this condition is not met, return it back to home.html for somebody to enter. That's all we need to do from our view function. All right, as simple as this. Another thing you can do, you can say tax dot object dot create. Now when you use this dot create, you don't need to save this anymore. Okay, you don't need to say tax dot save. It will automatically save because you say tax dot object dot create. You don't need to save. So I think we should use this very one so it can be understood. Okay, equals to tax dot object dot create. Create this tax equals to tax. Okay, now if tax is equals to tax, create and redirect it to home. Now let's go back to our home. Now there are a few things we need to do in our home. This action is asking us where to send this to. We want to send it to, if you come to URL, this is the name. We want to send it to this, to text. All right, we want to send it there. What you need to do, you open this tag and do percentage and say URL, and you paste in the name. Now, having done that, we need to say method is equals to post. All right, so this is all what we need to do. URL, this action is, if I click on this add button, it should send it to this function and return it to our HTML front end. Okay, let's go ahead and test this out. Remember, we have teach Django publish video. Let's say edit template and click on add. Okay, now it's giving us an error, CSRF verification failed. Now there's what we call cross-site function verification, cross-site forgery for Django. Django is very security conscious, so Django provides us with internal security features. Now after this form, you are going to come and open your tab, do your double percentage and say CSRF underscore token. Now this is, if you don't add this, your form, this is only for when you are creating a form, you are sending something to the database when you're using a post function. So you need to say CSRF cross-site forgery underscore token. Okay, now if I come back and refresh, this error should disappear and refresh. Now let's say edit template and add tax got unexpected keyword argument tax. Let's check. Tax equals to tax object or create tax. What's that? Tax equals to tax dot object dot create. Let's see. It's a tax equals to tax dot object. All right, let's just say. Okay, all right, so we are going to pass in, we did not pass in this into here. We need to pass this context as a context. We need to say taxed, and the key is taxed as well. So let's go ahead and refresh this. I see giving us that error. Okay, let's use this. Tax equals to tax dot object dot create. Let's see, tax dot save. That's not the cost. What could be the cost of this? Okay. All right, so I understand why it's giving us this error. Now there's something I want you to understand. Now when you come back to your models.py, now the class, the table name is name, so we need to use this, okay, in our view. All right, and not tax. We are going to give it as a name, or you can say tax underscore name. All right, so that name must be there. We're going to replace everything here with that. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and create tax name equals to tax name. So let's go back and refresh to see. Got an unexpected keyword arguments tax name. All right, so let's just use the word name as well. Let's just use the word name. Okay, let's try something out and refresh this. Okay, so as you can see, whatever name you use in your model, in your table, whatever now, because when we used the tax, that was not what we gave here in our class, in our model class. Okay, so you need to say name. You need to say name, then you reference your table, your database. Okay, so that is how we can do that. All right, as you can see, edit template. We had just teach Django, publish video. Now we have edit template. Okay, let's say using chat GPT, and let's add tags. As you can see, our tags has been added successfully. All right, so we are done with the aspect of reading our data using the home function, and we created our add tag. So the next thing we need to do now is to see how we can delete and also edit this template. So we begin with to delete. The first thing you need to do, go to whatever function you want to create in Django. It must have a URL. Okay, you're going to say path, and you're going to say delete / and you're going to say views dot delete. You give it a name, whatever name you find you want to give. All right, so but me, I choose to give it delete view name. I'm going to give it as delete. All right, so if I go to click the delete button, it's going to show delete. Now if I click on, if I come here to add tags, for now we are in this URL. This very first one is empty, that's why you're not having anything like slash. But if I click here and I come to clean code, I will click on add, check the URL, you are going to see it's going to take us to add. Okay, our code broke because we created this function but we did not create the view. So let's copy this delete view, come to view and create our function again and say div function request. Now if you want to delete anything in URL or edit, you need to target a specific item. So we need to give it an ID, unique ID. You come here and say int, and you say I call it ID, or you can call it PK, you can call it tax underscore ID, but I just want to use ID for short. Okay, after delete, you want to reference a particular tax. You are not deleting every tax, so you must put this int ID, or you can some people can want to use str. Okay, str for string, but I want to use an integer int for this. So even in your view, you're going to say comma, you're going to take a 2-parameter ID, all right, before you do anything. Now to delete tags, I'm going to say name. Like I said, whatever name you use here, I prefer you maintain that down. Okay, now you can say delete tax, delete underscore text equals to, so we need to return first, return, we are going to redirect back to home. Now you're going to say delete underscore tax equals to, we call our class base dot, we're going to say dot get, so that to avoid error we say get underscore object underscore or underscore 404. Now you state text comma pk equals to id. We are going to copy, we are going to import this from Django, import get object underscore or 404. Now it's going to, when if there's an error, it's going to return a 404. That's why we are returning, we are using this get object or 404. It's either it gets the object If there's error, it should return a 404, and you reference your class, which is your database, and the picker is going to be ID that we define it here, ID, and also in our view ID. So having done that, we now say we call this dot delete. Delete is a function in Python and Django. Now you return redirect back to home. We are done with this, so we are going to copy this name. Instead of using delete view, we are going to copy this name, come back to where we have this we have delete. We're going to say one, and we're going to link it to say URL for, you put it delete. Now after this you now go ahead and say this t dot id. That is how you reference it. Let's go ahead and refresh. We should be back up. All right, so if I want to delete this clean code, I'm going to click here. As you can see, deleted. If I want to delete using ChatGPT, I'm going to delete. Edit, I'm going to delete. Publish video, and delete. So we are being able to create a function for deleting our to-dos. All right, so we'll be able to create a read, create, and delete. So the last thing we're going to do is how to edit this our form. Okay, so to create edit form, I'm going to copy the whole of this. I'm going to go back to my template. I'm going to create a new file. I'll call it update.html, and I'm going to paste all of this inside of it. Then I need to remove just this display. I'll remove this. I'm going to remove this. All right, so the form remains. Now here I'm going to say update to do's. While in home, I'm going to say add to do's. All right, so if I refresh and come back, you're going to have here add to do's and tags, and you're going to put it and this Django. Right, so let's go ahead and work on edit. So for us to work on edit is going to be something like this, delete. So I'm going to go ahead and call and bring it down. I'm just going to say here edit. I'm going to say edit view. Here as well, I'm going to call it as edit. All right, that's all we need to do, because we are targeting a particular item, not all. That's why we need to still give an ID. I'll come to my function here and say function. I paste this. It's going to take two arguments or parameter, one request and the next one is the ID. Okay, as a unique identifier, we are going to return this to render to our update.html. all right, that we have here. All right, so now what we need to do, we are going to copy everything like add text, add tags. Okay, I'm going to copy it and paste it here. Now, but before we do this, we need to, since we are getting just particular one, we say tags equals to get this. Now we said we're going to say our tags picker equals to, picker stand for primary key. All right, so you must use it. Then we now use this tags dot name. Okay, dot name. Now, having done that, we don't need this particular, we don't need to create, we don't need to save this for now. We now say text dot save. That's all. We return and redirect to where? Back to home. Okay, otherwise we are going to get it here as tax, and the key, the value is going to be as well as what taxed. Now what we have done here is that for edit, we said first of all wants to get the ID, just like what we did in our delete. We got the ID first. So here we want to get a particular ID. Now if requires the method of post equals to post, so we get the tax dot name, this what we have gotten, dot this value, dot this name, the field. Now tax dot save, return it back to home, otherwise it should bring us to update.html, and we pass in this our tax context here in dictionary. Okay, that is to reference it to our home page. Now what we need to do here, we need to come and copy this edit we used as our name. Instead of using tax, we use what edit, and we come out and give it a name of edit.id. All right, now here in our input name, we are going to have a value. Okay, a value HTML. We're going to have here value, and this value are going to reference whatever we have in our edit. So what we have here, we copy this same edit tax, okay, and paste it here and say dot name. That is all we need to do. If you have more function or more input field, you do this for all of them. Now what this means, that if you click on this tax, edit tax, it should come reference this what was written here before now. Okay, it should not be empty, so you can edit. That's why we say edit.name. It should give us this present value for us to be able to do what, to edit. So without any further ado, let's continue. Now what we need to do is come to our home, and we need to give the URL here. We need to give the URL, and the URL is going to be edit, and we are going to say t.id. That's all we need to do. So let's refresh, and let's, as you can see, it highlighted. Let's click on edit. Now reverse for edit with argument not found. Let's check edit, edit.id. okay, let's remove this. Let's remove this, we don't need this. Let's check what is happening. Edit.id. That is one thing you need to always the debug is set to true. That's why it's throwing an error, so you must find the error. So we get this tax.name. After getting that, tax.save, return redirect home, update, edit. So what we have here was what, edit view, edit. This is edit. Edit.name. What is the, if I remove this, it's going to reference if I remove this, it's going to reference, nothing is here. Okay, yeah, nothing is showing, but we need the URL. What happened URL for edit, and what we need now is edit.id. What happened to this? No reverse match at edit one. Reverse for edit with argument not found. One pattern straight edit. So this is it. All right, so let's go ahead and pass in the dictionary here. The dictionary here for text. Why is it giving me an error here? There was no comma here. Alright, so let's try again. Alright, so I saw where the error is coming from. Since I'm using tax, so I should pass in tax.id, not edit, tax.id, because my variable here is tax, so I'm supposed to pass this tax, not the edits. Okay, let's go ahead and save. This should work now. So perfectly, this is update now, but it's not referencing here for us, so I'm also going to use a tax.name, not edit. So if I come back and refresh, you now see that it's giving us this. So I can say update Django 2 and click on add. So it's going to bring us back to home. Look at it. If I click, it brings us edit/1. Now if I click back, it brings us to home where we are right now. So this is how you can create your simple. We have perform simple CRUD operation, create, read, update and delete using Django. This is a crash course, so there are other things we need to do, like looking at the view, looking at the like a detailed page of a particular function. Okay, but that will be in our subsequent master class Django. So this is just a crash course for Django. So what I want to do now is to use ChatGPT to create a nice looking table for us. All right, a nice looking table for us. So I'm going to come back to my static file and I'm going to erase all of these function, all of these classes, CSS rather. I refresh, so I should give it some time. It's going to load first before it can give us. All right, so we're going to wait for some time before this will take effect. All right, so but we want to use ChatGPT, so let me go ahead and on my data so that we can use ChatGPT for our front end. Okay, so what I did is just the back end. All right, so that this it will look nice. But let's go ahead and start updating it to see how it's going to look like. It's going to look like, let's say, editing of template using ChatGPT. Can click on enter. As you can see, we now have teach Django, editing of Django template. So I can delete this, I can update this because I did mistake. I say editing, supposed to be editing of template, and I click enter. Now as you can see, everything is looking well. So we started by, first of all, we started by creating our visual environment, which what we have here as env, and we went ahead by creating our project folder, which is what we have here as to do, and we looked at what all these init asg settings apply, and went ahead to settings and we added all our features, our urls.py, and also we added our app to the settings.py, and also we created our static files dirs. Okay, now let's go to my browser. Let me open ChatGPT. Let's tell ChatGPT to create a template. Okay, let me give him my model. Okay, so I'll copy this model. This is how to use AI for use this model to create responsive HTML and CSS table with add button at the top of the table and table, not table, table, and edit and delete button at the side of each row. Also create a form to add new text. Make this table to be at the center of the page, but should start at the top. Okay, so we are giving the prompt to create a table and a form for us using this our model which I've pasted, and let's see ChatGPT in action. Okay, let's just wait for some time. All right, so it's creating. Okay, it's finished creating. So I don't need to copy this boilerplate. All I need to copy is just this container to here, and I'll come to my home, and I'm going to come here and replace it with what we have here. Okay, now we're going to copy the CSS and we're going to come to our static folder. We're now going to paste it here. Come on, get out. Okay, we are going to paste it here. We are done with the CSS. Okay, so let's check our app refresh. All right, so as you can see, right, so I'm going to remove this my add to do. As you can see, we now have a nice looking. So here we can add the tags. Here we can now click to add. So let's go ahead and copy same. All right, let's copy this and go back to our update and also paste it here. All right, so but we don't need this table. Let's remove the table. All we are after is just the form. Okay, all we are after is just the form. All right, so I'll say update text and update text. Now let's reference what we have to do. So we are done with this. Now let's go ahead and do our for loop. What we did here, we come to dynamically populate. Okay, we say for t in text, and we are going to as well n we're going to end text n4, and inside of here we're going to say t dot name. Okay, so let's refresh. Like the error expected empty n4. Okay, sorry, I did not I need to do double t dot name. you need to, what else? Invalid block tag in line 28, invalid block tag. For T in tags, T.name N4. Okay, there was no D here. Alright, so Django, okay, fine. Editing of table, as you can see, with using ChatGPT. Now let's go and add this. Okay, add text. This is our form. Okay, so if I do editing completed, I click on add, it failed to loop. What happened? Okay, okay, editing complete. What happened? What happened? Okay, so the error I'm having here is that what happened? Let's see, body. The error I'm having here, I'm using the name. There is no name for it. ID. I need the name to give us. Okay, the form does not have. This is a form. Okay, and I'm having another form here which is not supposed to be. Okay, let's bring back this and let's remove this one. Let's refresh. Okay, but I need that form. Where is that form? Let's go back to ChatGPT. The form is not understood. Make it simpler and easy and nice. Just a form to add a to-do and a table to display the to-dos. Let's give it some time to think and better give us a nice response. Okay. Okay, this is it. Okay, let's go ahead and paste it here. Div class, we are gonna move this, we are gonna do like this. Okay, there's a table here as well, so and div from here, and let's refresh to see what we have. Okay, so this is now looking nice. All right, so I believe this one will give us what we want. Now let's go ahead and change this. The name should be input type ID, and the name should be name. All right, okay, so okay, I'm gonna have TD is gonna be no T body, let's say TR TD. All right, so we're gonna say for TR, it for T in text, we are going to N4, N4. We are going to say T dot name, T dot name. Okay, so we are also going to do another TD, and we're going to say delete and update. Okay, so that's all we need to do right now. Let's refresh. Okay, so it's looking fine. As you can see, we now have editing template. Using ChatGPT, you can update. We don't have that URL. So to delete, we are going to reference our URL, and we give it delete, and it's going to be t.id. Okay, so for update, what we had was that URL for edit, and we say text t.id. all right, so now we'll copy this, we'll leave this update as it is, so we'll not touch this update. So let's try and see. Oh, what? Revert delete. Okay, delete. I did not spell it well. So delete has an E at the end. So Django is very sensitive. You must be careful. So if I update, block tag with name content appears more than once. Okay. The block content end block. Okay, it appears more than once, and this is supposed to be inside of here. All right, so we have to end block, so one has to go. Okay, so we are going to remove this. I don't need this, and I'm going to refresh, update tags. All right, so what I need to let's give it a name here. There is no name here. Let's give it a name. Name of name, and We are going to do value equals to tax.name. Okay, here is going to be edit and tax.id. Let's go ahead and refresh. Okay, we have, and we can click on update. Okay, so we have come to the end of this tutorial of this course. Now we can go ahead and add new tags and say publish course and add. It comes here. We can also say update course. We can also have it here. Now you can go ahead